This is CHSR 97.9 FM here in Fredericton, New Brunswick, Canada. This is Python's Paradise, your film and music show, and this is your host, Greg Gilbert, aka the Python Hyena. And folks, I have a return guest. In fact, I recall last time I was talking to him, he made me an honorary orphan. Yes, I have, in celebration of the 40th anniversary of the Warriors, we have Apache Ramos on the phone. How do you do, Apache?
Very well, thank you, and hello, New Brunswick, and thank you for having me. I mean, orphans don't usually get invited.
So you're sitting there watching the Yankees. Are they losing?
No, absolutely not. We're winning. It's 3-2, but my family's at the game, and it's all good. We're winning 3-2. My grandson Hendrick's first game, and it's going to be a good experience for him. So I'm glad. But I'd rather watch the game at home and in the AC, and be with Python's Paradise, of course.
Absolutely. There you go. I'll take that plug. But just out of curiosity, when are the Yankees going to play the baseball Furies?
The Furies, actually, the baseball Furies are a little old, a little long in the tooth, like you said. It's the 40th anniversary.
You don't think they can go out there with their walkers and their canes and?
Bro. That's 4 decades.
I know if they hear this, they're gonna be like, "What the heck is he talking about?"
Although we do have a group in New York called Fury's Revenge. And last I heard, they were at the Brooklyn Bridge yesterday, and they dressed up as the Furies, and they do a lot of charity events. So I like giving them a shout out. The Fury's Revenge, good group of guys.
Oh yeah, what kind of charity work do they do?
Well, they do all kinds of functions, and they make people happy because the Warriors, which is really part of pop culture now. When people see people dressed up as the Furies, it just makes people smile right away. Even though it was pretty outrageous.
Yeah.
See a bunch of guys, gang members putting on makeup, kids makeup, and running down the streets of New York. But it struck a nerve, and I noticed that on Halloween when you see the little kids. Last year I did a kids convention, and the baseball Furies, the Furies Revenge was there, and they made people happy. They made people happy. And last year we did there's a bike run where they do the whole Warriors route from the Bronx all the way down to Coney Island, and they have these teams. And last year the baseball Furies and we started the whole race. So that was the Furies Revenge in New York, which is the guys I remember the name Clash, Steve Vicente, and David Goody. But I can't remember the other guy's name right now because, like I said, it was 40 years ago. But yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Well, I know we were texting today, and you said you were having senior moments. You're supposed to be leading this whole thing. You can't have senior moments. They're relying on you to keep it all together.
Like my grandson Hendrick said, because Grandpa, you don't know modern things. He plays these video games and stuff, and I don't know what the hell he's doing sometimes, and he just laughs at me. But 40 years is 40 years. A lot of people don't make that.
Has he seen the Warriors?
He's seen pieces of it, and his unfortunately when he was right now he just turned 8, but a couple of months ago. But as he was growing up, it almost killed me. But he was into Frozen, and it almost killed me. Every day Frozen, and the more he knew, I couldn't stand it. The more he played it. In fact, when he got one Christmas, I think he was 2 or 3 or something like that, and he wanted Elsa dolls, the dolls and stuff. I was like, oh my God. But now he's into, what is it? He got into Star Wars, and he's into all kinds of things. And, he's at his first baseball game today, so he's going to have a good time with that. But yeah, he's seen pieces of it, and he's seen, I have one thing, I'm very grateful for. I have very good fans, and they send me stuff like paintings and drawings and stuff. So he's seen that, and he's seen me sign autographs and things like that. So he's aware of it. But like his other grandma is someone that you interviewed, which is fabulous Marsha McBroom.
Oh yeah.
So he's got two famous, I don't know, me infamous, her famous.
Yeah.
And so he's used to seeing a lot of people, and his aunt, the fabulous McBroom sister.
Yep.
Doing with all that, so he's used to Grandpa.
Well, I gotta say, I got to admit, I loved Frozen. I thought it was one of the best I've seen out of Disney, especially for modern Disney films. So I don't know what the sequel will be like, but I got to admit, I like that first one. But what would it be, Frozen versus the Warriors?
Actually, but my granddaughter, Santana, named after Carlos, of course,
Mm-hmm.
She's into Jurassic Park.
I like the first Jurassic Park. After that, I'm just hanging my head at some of the stupidity the characters get into that result in their own death.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Got into it, but like 3 days ago, I got her into the Wizard of Oz. So now it's like,
love it.
Yeah, it's so cool because I did that with my daughter, and my daughter fell in love with the Wizard of Oz like I did. When I was a kid, you could only see it once a year.
Mm-hmm.
And usually on black and white, so you never really dug the when it went into color. But it used to come on once a year. But it's something that you pass down from generation to generation. Just like a lot of people pass down from generation to generation, thank God, the Warriors.
I love the Wizard of Oz too. Yeah.
How it keeps getting more and more famous. But yeah, I'm a big Wizard of Oz fan.
I think they should do the Wizards going down the yellow brick wall, the Warriors.
Yeah, the Warriors. They're good guys, the Warriors.
They'll go down the yellow brick road.
Yeah, I never understood why they didn't call a cab, At least get their boys to come and get them, But yeah, the Warriors. It's like being on a World Series team, riding the bench, being on that Warrior film. I'm pretty proud to have played a part in that.
And I can't fault the one about Star Wars either. I grew up with Star Wars, Empire Strikes Back, and Return of the Jedi, so I love those. Wasn't a big fan of the prequels, mind you, but The Force Awakens and Rogue One, kudos to those. Those were great.
I was one of the few people in the galaxy that never really saw it until about a couple of years ago.
What happened to you, man?
I don't know. I was with that Molotov cocktail. I got the mental things after Michael Beck rudely threw that Molotov cocktail at us. I always tell Michael that when I see him.
Well, you mentioned the McBroom sisters, and I had 3 of them on here. I'm proud to say that. I mean, after Dolly Reed Martin came on here, she connected me with. It was I had Dolly Reed Martin and I had Harrison Page from Beyond the Valley of the Dolls, and that kind of led me to Marcia. So yeah, and I had a great chat with Marcia, and Marcia led me to Lorelei, and I was talking to Lorelei just recently, because I got her on Facebook, and I sent her interview. It's not public yet, but it's going to be public in August, just like yours, and on YouTube. So, and Marcia's going to be coming up very soon as well. Either August or September, one of those anyway. It'll be soon. And anyway, and I had Durga on as well. Talking about Flashdance. Yep.
Yeah. The McBruce sisters are wonderful. Dana, there's a lot of them. I have a very small family, and they have a very large family, and they've just opened arms and show me a lot of love. And, like Marsha's son is married to my daughter, and we got these two beautiful grandchildren that we share, so it's a good thing. It's a good thing.
Yeah, I haven't had Dana McBroom on yet, but I had the other three on.
Yeah, Dana wrote that song, Pull Up to the Bumper by Grace Jones. Pull up to the bumper, baby. I mean, it's an amazingly talented family.
You mean she didn't put that in the Warriors?
Mm-hmm. I always have a good time. I pretty much I don't keep in touch with a lot of, because we're old now. We're all grandparents and stuff, but David Harris keeps in touch, and Dorsey Wright. We're New Yorkers. We keep in touch with each other. So it's all good to be. I'm just very surprised. I mentioned it at the last show was that they didn't do anything big for the 40th anniversary. We had a stupendous 35th anniversary, or was it the 34th? I mean, one of them that was pretty big, but I was really surprised, because we're not getting any younger. That's the
Yeah, I had David Harris on in 2017. So, yeah, they're not doing anything for the 40th. I don't understand that with a lot of because whenever I do interviews, when I plan them at the beginning of the year, I always I scout out who am I looking for, but I also look at what films are celebrating anniversaries, and because I think when you celebrate the anniversary, it gives people even more of a reason to come on the show.
Yeah, I think there've been a few gatherings, but nothing big with the remaining cast. They might have done things. The Warriors get booked, because of course they're the stars. They get booked on certain things, but it hasn't been a big where I call us the B team, the B team, like the Lizzies and the the Orphans and the Rogues, and we're still around, some of us.
Well, they should book you guys.
Last time we had the old, the original cast, but I'm surprised. At least the movie company, they've made a lot of money off this movie. So I'm very surprised, but who knows? Maybe the year's not over. Something may come up. I knew there was supposed to be something. There was rumor in England. But I guess that fell through. And but at least the Orphans haven't been invited. I don't know. But I keep in touch with Wanda from the Lizzies and Jeannie, the candy store girl. Because they're in New York, so we bump into each other and things like that. But yeah, it would be nice to get everybody together, while we're still walking around.
So who did you say you were all still in touch with here? Jeannie, Candy Store, okay.
And Dorothy and Jeannie from the Candy Store Girl, and Wanda Velez, one of the Lizzies. And that's pretty much about it. Yeah.
I should see if they want to come on here.
Sure, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, no problem. You could just post on the Orphans page. They see on the Orphans page. They have a Lizzie's page. There's a Lizzie's page.
Okay.
That David Goody hooked up. David Goody actually hooked up the Orphans page. And,
okay.
It's done pretty well. I've been on Facebook for maybe the last 3 weeks or so, just recharging and doing other things and getting social media for a while. Mostly looking at YouTube stuff. I like watching some of the old stuff.
I thought you were watching Yankee games.
Oh no, I always. I'm from the Bronx, of course. My daughter's raised pinstripes. That's what we are. And I root for the Mets too. They're New York, but my team is the Yankees. I grew up like 10 blocks from the stadium, and So we was always around the stadium, and the old Yankee Stadium, not the new Yankee Stadium. The house that Ruth built. And yeah, I'm from the Bronx, and in my professional life as a social worker, I worked in the South Bronx. So yeah, it's yeah, I'm a Yankee.
Well, I just looking at Jeannie Orts on here. I think, yeah, I'll reach out to her. She's on Facebook, huh?
Which one?
Jeannie, the candy store girl.
Oh yeah, she's on Facebook. She's on Facebook.
All right, I'll reach out to her and see if she'll come on. Yeah, because
She's a very nice lady. She's
Mhm.
very nice.
Yeah, I've had David Harris on, and he did the Orphans Call or the Warrior Call.
Yeah, Wanda's pretty good too. Wanda's really good at interviews. I've done a few with Wanda. She's a lot of fun. She still is beautiful. She's the one that had the knife to David Harris's throat, which is they made a meme out of it. I always see it on Facebook every now and then. When your girlfriend's Puerto Rican or something like that, I always see that running around on Facebook. With him looking when she pulls the knife on him. But yeah, it's amazing that movie has done so well and continues to do so well. Marsha was just telling me this morning that it was playing somewhere in New York. It's always playing somewhere.
Yeah.
Right now, and the video game really gave it a big boost. When the video game came out, I was working and I was getting off the subway on 14th Street, and all of a sudden I see ads and I see the orphans, and I see the different gangs on the subways, and it was a video game, and that gave it a whole nother generation of fans. And when I do meet fans, I haven't done anything in about 2 years. Maybe last year I did a few things, but signing stuff. But when I do meet fans, they always tell me, my first question to them is, when was the first time you saw the Warriors?
Mm-hmm.
And it usually tell me that it was a big brother or it was a father or something that turned him on to his daughters, that turned the Warriors on. I remember one friend in particular, and we're still good friends, doing the autograph. He told me that his father was supposed to take him to see The Lady and the Tramp, and that's what he told the mother, but he instead took him to the Warriors, and they forever bonded on it. And he always laughed at my part. So when I got to meet him, unfortunately his father has passed away since that. He always used to say, "Oh, my father really liked the way you looked when they were throwing the bomb at you." But, that's pretty cool that they could pass it down like that. And with the video game right now, somebody on the planet is kicking my ass in the video game to get to the next level. So that's pretty good to be a video villain. Even though I never played video games, I used to put my money in the jukebox. But, and the different images, and fans send me paintings and stuff. It's amazing to be part of that. And I just love the fans for doing that. I've done so many different things in my life. I got gold records and platinums. I've done so many things, but I'll always be the orphan, and that's not a bad thing. Could be worse. I could have been a rogue.
Well, I've seen recent pictures of you. Where is the afro?
Well, that's one of the first questions that people ask me. Wig. I swear to God, they always ask me if I was wearing a wig. I go, no. But my answer to that is 4 decades, bro.
What was your grandson's reaction to that picture of you with the afro?
Yeah, I'm almost 66. I'm lucky to still have hair. I just got a crew cut the other day because it's so hot in New York. The older I get, I think with the meds I take, the sun really messes with me now. So, I had to cut my hair because the heat. I can't take the heat. It really bugs me out. But, it's hot in New York City. And that's why I'm glad I'm with you instead of at the Yankee game watching the game.
Well, of course, I should put that online, Apache Ramos, fellow warrior, chooses me over the Yankees.
never a warrior.
Okay, orphan. I thought you'd be a warrior. Doesn't your grandson want you to be a warrior?
No, I'd rather be what I was. But I got a good fan base. You know, everybody at one time or another has felt like an orphan. You know, we were like the Rodney Dangerfield of gangs. You know.
I love Rodney.
I know you told me how much you love Rodney. Who didn't? That's another reason why I love YouTube. You know, I punch up those old Johnny Carson interviews with Rodney Dangerfield or my man Don Rickles.
Yeah.
You know, I remember when I was a kid, I couldn't go to sleep until after the Johnny Carson show.
Yeah.
Now I can't even make the late shows.
Rodney said he got no respect when he said his uncle's dying wish, he wanted him on his lap. He was on the electric chair.
Yeah. He said when he was born, the doctor smacked him or some shit. I know. He has all kinds of one-liners.
Oh, yeah, he said, when I was born, the doctor smacked my mother.
It was like the other day, I made the family watch It's a Mad, 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 Mad World.
Yeah.
Which I started in theaters in 1963, which I heard it took 4 years to make because you get all the different comedians together. But it's still hilarious. You know, it's still hilarious up until the end, which I think it's crazy, but it's still hilarious. So yeah.
So what did your grandson think of images of you with the afro?
Well, he's growing his own now, you know. He's the, let me put it this way, he's the heir apparent to the orphan throne.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I'm honored you made me an honorary orphan. I gotta say, I appreciate that, and I hold that up high.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. You know, at one time or another, even the python must have felt, you know,
Mm-hmm.
it is. You know?
Oh, jeepers! I've gone most of my life feeling like I didn't fit in.
And the orphans didn't do too bad, you know, because we remember it. You know, they remember it.
They are, yep.
I can't remember who did the costumes. She's on my Facebook. It's going to kill me. I can't think of her name right now. But I heard that the reason why the orphans didn't have anything more fancy was because they ran out of money on costumes.
Oh.
But the fans make their own T-shirts. I mean, I've gotten T-shirts sent to me that the fans have made up, and that's even better. You know, that's even better.
There you go.
People that make little figurines, and I have a couple of those that people have sent me that they've made or presented to me, which is really, really cool, man. You know, I you know, the orphans. You know, when we first got the script, the late Paul Greco, may rest in peace, and I got the script. We didn't even see the Warriors. You know, we saw how kind of lame the orphans were supposed to be. And we were, you know, two street guys, and most important, we wanted to be seen. You know, we didn't know if we were going to be cut out or anything. So it was really a trip, and I think we did a good job, especially. But when we, you know, the director Walter Hill, he didn't let us see the Warriors. We didn't see the Warriors until we actually shot the scene, so we had no idea what they looked like.
Mm-hmm.
And when we first saw them, especially back in 1978, we filmed, which was the year after the Summer of Hell in New York City, where we had Son of Sam and the Blackout, and, you know, Elvis died. The 77 was a hell of a year.
Mm-hmm.
And 78, you know, New York City was a completely different city than what it was. And, you know, growing up in the Bronx and living in the Bronx after graduating from college and going back to the Bronx, you know, I knew real gangs and stuff like that. So when I saw the Warriors, they were not scary at all.
Yeah.
Let me put it that way. They weren't scary at all, you know, especially coming from the Bronx and stuff. And well, Dorsey and David would tell you that too. But it worked. You know, it worked. It really did. I mean, in 1979 when it came out, there were protests. You know, why was this film made? This film. Oh man, the Yankees just hit a home run 4-2. But yeah, there were protests. Why was this film made? And I guess there was a stabbing or two in the West Coast. And if you look at that film today, there's hardly any violence in the film. Compared to the films of today. That's why when I always hear since, let me see, I think 85 when my daughter was born,
Mm-hmm.
I started hearing rumors that they were going to do a remake. And I've been hearing that since then. And from what I understand from the fans, they don't want it. They don't want a remake. They said it would be totally different. It'd be definitely more violent. But I guess I heard that some famous director, I don't know, I can't think of his name. I say that a lot, notice?
Mm-hmm.
But he committed suicide. He was supposed to direct it. But he jumped off some bridge or something. But they've been talking about a remake because they've remade everything else, although nothing is new. But yeah, most of the fans don't want a remake of the Warriors. But if they did do it, they could hire a few of us old guys, do a little cameo.
I don't know why they don't just remake and improve the really bad movies, Like, take a piece of garbage like Pearl Harbor, take the love story out of it, the love triangle, and make an actual war movie, I mean, Pearl Harbor is like one of the worst movies I ever seen,
Yeah, I'm a big TCM fan. I watch a lot of TCM. I remember my daughter growing up, if it was in black and white, she didn't even want to watch it,
Oh,
But,
come on. There's great stuff in black and white.
Oh, yeah. No, now she does now. But when she grew up, if it was in color, forget it. But, I'm a big Betty Davis fan, and I'm so proud that my granddaughter is born on Betty Davis's birthday.
Oh, wow.
That explains it all to me now. The babyface assassin, my granddaughter, Santana. But, I always love those movies. In fact, I loved that series last year with Susan Sarandon and what's her name that played Whatever Happened to Baby Jane. They did the remake. Did you see that series?
I did not. No, I didn't.
Oh, you of all people. Greg,
Well, I don't have my television set up to watch television. I just got it set up or hooked up to my Blu-ray player, and when I've got a night free, I watch my Blu-rays.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah, I mean, if I did have TV, I might get Netflix, but I find with TV today, there's a lot of what they call reality television, and I just called a load of bull.
Yeah. Reality today.
Yeah, I don't care for that stuff, I mean, there's stuff I don't mind watching. I do love movies, and it's nice to have something like Netflix where you got lots of choice, and stuff like that. And I love to see stuff I really, yeah.
I'm a Netflix fan too, but I spend a lot of time searching.
Yeah.
My daughter has everything here, though. Hulu, Netflix, all that. I find a lot of time searching for stuff. But yeah, I like a lot of old movies. I can see them over and over again.
Mm-hmm. I agree. Yep. Actually, it was a black and white movie that changed my perception on film. Because I used to be like your, was your daughter or granddaughter? You said didn't watch black and white.
My daughter, when she was a little kid, if she saw us watching the black and white, she was like, she thought it was too old. But of course, she loves it now. I'm talking about the child.
Well, it was Psycho by Alfred Hitchcock that changed the way I view movies today. Yeah. Yeah.
I remember when it came out.
Yeah.
It was nobody took showers with the door unlocked forever.
Well, I've had Hitchcock's granddaughter on my show, and I had Marley Renfro Peterson, who was Janet Leigh's double in the shower scene. She was on here as well. So I was very happy to do 2 interviews in connection with that film.
Yeah.
That's part of the fun in doing this,
Yeah, Greg the Python, you got your thing.
That's right.
We're back on TV. There's a show I recommend, Pose.
Mm-hmm.
About it's also done by FX. which is about the balls in Harlem and back in the day. But this takes place in the 80s, and it's the first film. Like we discussed before, I was a social worker, and I was on the front line of the AIDS virus from 1990 to 1999 in New York City,
Mm-hmm.
the Resource Administration. So I had a lot of, I witnessed a lot of deaths because at that time it was really bad. So Pose is the first show I can watch about AIDS ever since I left the AIDS. I went to another field in HRA, social services, in 1999. I haven't really been able to watch any shows because it was so painful from 1990 to 99, and the caseload I had a lot of transsexuals and transvestites on my caseload who was so sick, and I took care of them. And Pose is the first one that I can go back and relive that. And I'm reliving it with my daughter because I remember when my daughter was at that age in the 90s, she was singing at the Metropolitan Opera, and she would sing for a lot of my clients, and we've been able to watch Pose together. But she noticed that it was the first time, because now we're in 2019, and
Mm-hmm.
I haven't been able to watch any shows about age, movies, anything since '99 because it's kind of fresh. But Pose has brought me out of it because it's fabulous, and then it's so real too. So I recommend that Pose on FX. That's just me. yeah. Hits a nerve.
So, do you ever see people with pop bottles on their fingers, clicking them together, saying
Oh yeah.
"Warriors"?
Especially when I go to Coney Island. I haven't gone this year, but when I go to Coney Island, people, some people still recognize me or know me because I've shot some other films there in the Coney Island area, and being part of the Warriors is so much a part of Coney Island now. So yeah, I've seen the Coke bottles and people reciting the lines. Even when I was working as a social worker in the South Bronx, I was working not with AIDS, but working with another population. I would get out on 138th Street and 3rd Avenue, which is the heart of the South Bronx, and there was a methadone clinic there, and they would people would start. They knew I was in the film, and it'd be like. Mr. Ramos Warriors come out to play, the Coke bottle thing, the whole thing. There's so many lines from the Warriors that is part of pop culture. I remember when Shaquille O'Neal and L.A. Lakers won the NBA title, and he was on the podium going, "Can you dig it?" I remember
Yeah.
the United States is a Taco Bell commercial that is a dead ringer for the Warriors. It's just a dead ringer for it because people called me up and started posting it on my page. So, and this is 2019, and this thing was filmed in 1978. It captured the essence of New York City at that time in a kind of comic book fashion that a lot of people related to. It was dark. You have the graffiti. You have the kind of the beginning of hip hop. It just struck a nerve with so many people, and it's the end of the decade. It's the end of the decade, the '70s, and the '70s will always be remembered.
Yep.
Kind of,
I was born in the '70s, so
I went to college in the '70s.
yeah. Well, I gotta say, David Patrick Kelly, of course, who did the pop bottle scenes, he was a standout. Talk about last time you seen him.
I've never met him. I've communicated with him a few times through my brother with emails and stuff like that. But no, I've never met him. I've seen him on different programs. The guy was absolutely, from what I heard, he got that Warriors come out to play from a neighbor he used to hear. He used to do that come out to play thing, but it was genius. I mean, it's part of movie history forever. It really is. And Can You Dig It? But man, in the beginning with the rest in peace who starts the whole film with the conclave thing. That's an incredible scene. In fact, that was the Taco Bell commercial that they showed. So there's some parts, and then it's funny too. And the ladies love Michael Beck. I mean, they just love him, and they love Berman. Each one of those guys, they have their own women that just love them. They were just beautiful on camera, and the way Walter Hill filmed it too. He really. I remember he would always water the street. It gives it that real urban look. It was a little dark. It was kind of comic book. Everybody loves the Furies.
Mm-hmm.
That whole Walter Hill was a big Kiss fan, so that's where that came from with the painted face. But that's even I love seeing that scene when they just appear coming out. It's so bizarre.
Yeah.
That nobody ever thought about what gang is going to paint their face and run around with that in baseball uniforms, but it worked. And I haven't seen it in a long time.
Yeah, I haven't seen it in a while either. I do know that. Huh?
It's always on some kind of channel. Because recently, I think it was on Sundance. But it's always nice to get that residual check. Just that you were just part of this thing. The number one film in 1979 was Kramer versus Kramer.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that gets played as much as The Warriors does.
Well, you know what? The highest grossing film of 1998 was Armageddon, but I guarantee you that doesn't get played as much as The Big Lebowski. That came out the same year. So box office doesn't necessarily equal quality.
That's for sure.
Yep.
A film that didn't do so well at the box office, just goes on and on and on. I think Baby Jane was like that, right?
I don't remember.
That was, I forgot, that's 61, in 1961.
Actually, whatever happened to Baby Jane was 1962.
Yes, that was close. I was around.
Yeah. But, 62, that would have been 10 years prior my time.
It's the kind of film that when you're changing the channel, you'll just see a scene or two. You don't have to see the whole thing, but you'll see the scene or two. I feel that way sometimes with Stripes. Anything with Bill Murray,
Yeah.
I just look at his face and he just cracks me up. Stripes. I don't like any kind of army films or anything like that too much, but Stripes just cracks me up. I like to laugh. I don't like being scared. I don't like horror films too much. Although I've done a few zombie films and vampire films, but I don't really like to be scared.
Well, if you don't like being scared, why are you related to the McBroom sisters?
They're not scary at all. They're very loving, especially to me.
Yeah? What if I told them that they didn't scare you? They might.
Anyway, I was recently with a bunch of them about 2 months ago to a reunion. But yeah, my daughter has an annual where she has Thanksgiving, and a lot of the family comes over here. I've had the pleasure of having Durga and Lorelei singing "Happy Birthday" to me because I'm a Christmas baby.
Yeah,
so that's pretty cool. And they sing with Pink Floyd and the Rolling Stones and all that, and they're singing me "Happy Birthday." That's not too bad.
That's not bad at all.
Not bad at all. Up close and personal.
They credit you as being 39 every year.
39. That's Jack Benny. One of his famous singers is "Your Money or Your Life." Your money or your life. I'm thinking. That guy was really funny. He has a little cameo in Mad World too.
Yeah.
That's with the song.
Yeah.
Even the three. They really got all those comedians together.
Yeah.
They need to get the Warriors together. The Warriors and the cast. The B Squad. So, it's part of American culture, and it's not just American. I have a lot of friends and fans from the UK
Mm-hmm.
who they just love the Warriors, and all over. I get all kinds of requests. That's why I'm not on Facebook Messenger that much, because I have so much stuff on there, and I don't know, I guess I'm getting older and crankier, and I can't be bothered. I'm so into, like, with my grandkids and stuff, watching them grow and playing with them. But sometimes I go and I see some messages in there. But that's one good thing about Facebook. I've been able to find people always from elementary school. It's amazing how that works.
Yep.
But I'm taking a little break from it now. But there was a point where my daughter turned me on to it because she was getting married, and she said, "Dad, so many people trying to reach you, and blah blah blah. I don't know who's who." And she turned me on to this Facebook thing, and now she used to call me the mayor, because I don't know. Like, sometimes people would stop me in the subway, and I don't know if it's for the Warriors or for the record business days, or was a client that was on public assistance, or somebody who was angry or something. So I never know what they're going to say, But, there's so many different chapters in my life. 40 years, bro. That was I think it took about, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 days to shoot the orphan scene or something, and it's been such a big part of my life that I didn't hardly remember it. I've learned more about the movie from fans who tell me what their favorite part is. Like, I didn't know the tattoo I had is the only flag that appears in the whole movie. Who would know that? I didn't know that. Then somebody told me that.
Mm-hmm.
So, people really, really love the film. Like, I've told you this before, that the other podcasts I've done is the Rocky Horror gang movies.
Mm-hmm.
It's people come dressed up. When I do get invited to, like, say if they're showing the Warriors in Brooklyn or something, I might get a call, "Apache, can you come on by?" And I'll come on by, and they'll have people dressed up as all kinds of different ones. But it's usually 9 times out, I would say 6 out of 10 is Furies. People love the Furies, or have Warrior vests. The Warrior vests are a big thing.
Yeah.
I see people in the winter. I'm like, come on, bro, it's cold. I guess that's my line. We ain't got one, right?
Well, James Remar came out of this with a pretty steady career.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Big fan of Dexter.
Mm-hmm.
But I was having heart problems, even though I never met him. He called me in the hospital when I was in the hospital with some heart problems, and I was really surprised. I mean, the women love his part. Oh, my God.
Mm-hmm.
But I love them. You didn't watch Dexter because you don't have TV, right?
I know what it is, though. I know what you're talking about.
All right, Dexter, yeah. That guy, oh, my God.
Mm-hmm.
A serial killer that kills other serial killers.
And, of course, Deborah Van Valkenburg.
That was pretty good.
Yeah, Deborah Van Valkenburg, who played Mercy.
Oh, I love her to death. She's such a sweetheart. In fact, she was the first one to reach out to me when they started having these reunions and things. She reached out to me because I hadn't seen her when we shot the film. Was the last time I saw her. And then when I was with Streetwise Records, she had come by the label with some friends, and I had seen her again. And then at the reunions in the 90s that I got invited to, then we reconnected, and her and my daughter got to be good friends, and she even took my grandson out to lunch. So that was fun. She took Hendrix out to lunch, so he hung out with Mercy. She's a really, really nice lady.
Mm-hmm.
And, she was on that Ted Knight show. She was also in Streets of Fire. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I thought one of the things I think also highlights this film and really adds to the viewing experience is the various locations, the subway, Central Park and all of this, where the fights all take place. And I think that adds.
Conclave was at Riverside Park.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the Central Park, the whole New York City scene, and that's what makes it so special too, because it's New York City back then.
Yeah.
There's a whole when people come from the UK that are on my page or on some of the Warrior pages, and they meet some of the fans here. They go to all the locations. Danny O'Connor from the band House of Pain, he has this thing called Delta Bravo, where they go to actual movie sites, and he's actually rebuilding the Outsiders from the movie The Outsiders in Tulsa, Oklahoma. He's part of the rebuilding of the Outsiders home. He was his Delta Bravo group took me to the spot where I meet the Warriors, where the Warriors come up to the orphans and Mercy comes down that stairs. And I hadn't been in that area. It was like 30 years at the time. So the first time I had been there since we had shot the scene, it was pretty interesting. And then recently, this is really funny, where the bomb blew up, there was a barbershop there. There's still a barbershop there. And, the roof, there's a small roof there. And Dorsey, who was on the train, somebody had written something like on the top, Orphans Rule, Apache Ramos Lives. And he called me up. He goes, I saw him in the subway. You must be a bad dude. Somebody wrote that up there. So that's pretty cool, when I hear things like that. It wasn't me. But somebody wrote that up there. And, people remember those moments. That's part of, movie history, where it was shot. And also, the guys from the UK come or Australia come, and they go to the sites. Where it was filmed. That's the impact the film has on people, so that's a good thing.
Well, the Central Park scene really grabs me because there's a great scene in the movie, the Abel Ferrara movie, Ms. 45 shot there too, where this gang circles Zoe Tamerlan and she just blows them all away with her pistol. So that's...
New York is always a great place to shoot movies.
Yeah.
I mean, you just take a camera. I mean, these independent films I've been in, we just, let's go to Coney, shoot some film. It's a great place. There's always people, and nobody really bothers you in New York, too. It's, you can be shooting a film or something, and pretty much people leave you alone. People got places to go. Yesterday, I was getting calls. People were texting me if I was okay, because we had a minor blackout in Manhattan. I was like, no, I'm in Queens. It's all good. It's all good. But we had a little blackout in New York, which is anniversary of the last blackout. It was interesting. But yeah, they couldn't do the Broadway plays yesterday, and the Broadway cast would come out in the street, and they'd sing some songs for the people. And at Carnegie Hall, the conductor came out and had a big sing-along in the street. And I just felt bad for the people. Like, there was a couple that came from Indiana to see Hamilton, and they couldn't see it because none of the shows could go on yesterday. Although the different casts were outside singing and greeting people. So that's in New York. That's New York for you.
There you go.
The show must go on in some kind of way. Speaking of Debbie Van Valkenburg, she breaks her arm in the Warriors. A lot of people don't know that. I didn't know that either until, the question-answer thing. And at one point, you see her on the subway, she's wearing a Levi jacket. It's because she broke her arm. So she's tough.
Yeah.
She's tough. Yeah.
You ever hear much about vamp bikers anymore?
Yeah, Vamp Bikers is on Amazon Prime.
Mm-hmm.
1, 2, and 3, and so they finally they're out there. Eric is doing some other things now. That's Eric Rivas. He directed the Vamp Bikers, and then it turned into a trilogy. So it's the Vamp Bikers trilogy. It has an amazing cast of different New Yorkers, yours truly's in it, and one of them, and you have the kids, the guy, not kid, but the guy from Bronx Tale, Lilo Brancata, he's in it. And,
Dorsey Ray is in it, yeah.
Dorothy's was in it. Who else is in it? That crazy. Screaming Rachel from Chicago is in it. Rachel Kane. She's the president of Track Records in Chicago. Does a lot of house music. I know Rachel since the '80s when I was at Streetwise. The guy, the club, the Club Kids leader, Michael Alec. He's in that film. He's in the film. Everybody knows him as the Club Kid monster. He murdered somebody, chopped him up, and he came out and did some serious time. But he's in the film. There's a lot of people in that film. I only seen pieces of it, but that's what the Vampires thing. And then in my film, the one I'm most proud of is High and Tides is on Amazon Prime, and we did pretty well with that. And I had to dig up. The last time I told you, I got a winner Best Supporting Actor, Apache Ramos for High and Tides, and it's out of your turf, Canada. Although Canada is huge, I don't know where in Canada. But it was the Creation International Film Festival in Canada. So they liked me. They liked the film High and Tight. I had to dig it up. In fact, I got to clean it. It's a little dusty there. But, so that one. And then, let me see, what have I been doing lately? Lately, I haven't been doing that much.
You've been watching Yankees.
I'm watching Yankees, raising my grand, rooting for my Jets, being a good grandparent. Let me see, what have I been doing? I did the Orchard Beach, which was the zombie film. They just had showings in Yonkers. Orchard Beach. Let me see. There was something else I did. I can't think of it now. But yeah, pretty much lay low. Like I said, I retired from social services after almost 30 years, and on 2016. So I'm pretty much enjoying my life as much as I can. I'm going to Boston at the end of this month to see the Yankees.
Yeah.
Thinking Red Sox at Fenway Park. They treat me really good out there.
Yeah.
Even though I wear my Yankee gear. Yeah, because they're big Warrior fans. So I actually get to go on the field and go to the Green Monster. I don't know if you know what that is.
Yeah.
But the Green Monster in Fenway Park, I get to go on the field and meet people, and it's really nice. So I always look forward to that. So that's coming up. And other than that, yeah, I'm just enjoying my summer. What are you doing?
Me? I'm enjoying my summer as well, Looking forward to going to a horror film convention this fall in Toronto and go for 2 weeks and hang out with an actress friend of mine and see if I can make some more interview contacts. I'm also... So I'm going to do that for 2 weeks this fall. I'm looking forward to doing more interviews. I'm loving this. I'm also involved with...
How long have you been doing this, Fred?
I do. What's that?
How long have you been doing this? How long have you been doing this?
Well, I've been here at the station since 2005, but I didn't start doing the podcast till 2015, so it's just something that happened, and when it happened the first time, it was like, gee, can I do this with anybody else? And I'm also, it's led to me, I'm involved with 4 movies right now, too, or actually I should say 5.
All right.
And I didn't even have to leave Fredericton to be involved.
So life is good, huh?
Yeah, I'm right now a co-producer on the next Friday the 13th spinoff, and my name will be on that, and there's a lot of good people involved in that I even interviewed, so that's awesome. And James Balsamo, who does a lot of horror comedies, He messaged me one night and asked me if I'd shoot my own death scene on my phone and send it to him for one of his movies. And I had to call him up to see what this was all about, because I didn't expect that. And here I've cameoed in 4 of his movies. All I had to do was shoot it on my phone and send it to him. I didn't even have to leave the city, which is fine with me.
Yeah, this technology, doing these podcasts. I mean, this year I think this is my second one with you.
Yeah.
I think I've done about podcasts this year. Yeah, this is a new thing. My daughter's turning me on to podcasts.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know there was a whole. I didn't notice that app on my phone. It said, "Dad, just hit that," and then it said all kinds of podcasts for all kinds of things. So,
oh wow,
pretty good. Yeah, there's murder mysteries and comedies. There's a million podcasts. I told you I did the wrestler Chris Jericho from Canada.
Yeah.
Born in Long Island. I just did a podcast with him. He's a big Warrior fan with Daniel from House of Pain, which was fun because I've always liked wrestling, and I happened to be watching. After I got invited to be on his show that night on the Japanese wrestling show on TV, he was performing. So that was the next day I did the interview with him. So that was funny. He's still doing it with Jericho.
I've done a couple of wrestling-related interviews on here. I had the son and daughter of Rowdy Roddy Piper on here, and I have Princess Victoria on here as well. She hasn't wrestled since 1984 due to a neck injury, but she was a great interview guest.
Yeah, they really, people don't realize how much they sacrifice their bodies for these shows.
Yeah.
Sometimes three times a night, and they're always on the road, and it's a tough life for them. I respect that. It's the ultimate theater, the good guy, the bad guy, it's all that. And even though they say it's fake, it's not fake. I mean, what they're doing is not fake. You have these massive, huge people choreographing these acts that if they don't do it right, like you say, Queen Victoria?
Princess Victoria, yeah. Yeah.
It's a tough gig. So I respect them. Anybody that gets in the ring, I respect.
Yes.
Courage, as the lion said, courage.
Well, you know what? It was wonderful having you on today to celebrate the 40th anniversary of the Warriors. And I'm honored to be an honorary orphan.
That's right. I got to say that Python's Paradise, we're going to rain on you Warriors.
That's right. You mind doing a plug? Yeah.
But, that line, I'm known for that line. We're going to rain on you Warriors. I must have said that at least 100,000 times since 1978, and it's always fun to do it. Greg, it's always a pleasure, and I'm glad I got the time right.
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad I called you. I was just a little nervous because you didn't call me, so I said, let me text him, because I had the wrong date.
You did.
I got out of going to the Yankee game in the heat, so I could stay in the house and watch it in AC. I'm so selfish.
Yeah. Well, you picked me over the Yankees. I'm humbled.
But my name is Greg also, so us Gregs got to stick together. In fact, my son-in-law is Greg. So.
Ah, fantastic.
Marshall's son is named Gregory also. So that's my son-in-law. And when they were having Hendrix, I suggested Greg, and my daughter said, no, it must stop. It gets confusing with the mail.
Yeah. I was wondering if before you go, you mind doing a plug for my show.
Absolutely. I will do anything for the Python. Hi, this is Apache Ramos from the cast member of the Warriors. I was with the Orphans Rule. I'm glad to be on Greg Gilbert's Python's Paradise in beautiful New Brunswick, Canada. All right, so let's say that again. My name is Apache Ramos. I'm a cast member of 1979's cult classic, The Warriors. Proud to be on Greg Gilbert's Python Paradise in beautiful New Brunswick, Canada. Hi, my name is Greg. I was going to say Greg Ramos. Hi, my name is Apache Ramos, cast member of the cult classic The Warriors that came out in 1979. This is the 40th anniversary, believe it or not, 4 decades. I'm proud to be on Greg Gilbert's Python Paradise in beautiful downtown New Brunswick, Canada. I got to get to Canada. I haven't been invited, but, orphans are never invited, but at least I was invited 2 times to the Greg Gilbert's Python's Paradise in beautiful New Brunswick, Canada. How was that, bro?
Yes, and you know what? You'll
You
be.
got that up, right?
Oh, I just might keep them all in there.
That's even better.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. That orphan guy. Yes, orphans are still around.
And you know what? I'm more than happy to have you come on a third time, and
Yeah, that would be so much fun. I had a good time. So now the party's over for me. I'm gonna force to go get my the baby assassin, assassin Santana, and go pick up my granddaughter. She's with her neighbors in their little mini pool. I wish we was in Canada. I got to get to Canada someday and hang out with you, bro.
Why aren't you in the mini pool?
I'm a little too big for that mini pool. 4 decades, bro.
Listen, if you got in the mini pool, they'd have to take pictures of that.
Situation. Take care, my friend.
You take care and God bless you.
Thank you, Papa. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.